Dear listener, welcome to a tale of shadows in the sand where ancient stones whisper secrets, and blood stains the rose-red cliffs of Petra. Settle in. Let your eyes drift closed as we journey back to the 1940s, to a world of orchids and intellect, where one man rarely leaves his chair, yet unravels the world's knottiest puzzles. Pause. This is the story of Nero Wolfe, and me, Archie Goodwin. Chapter 1. The Cable from the Cradle of Civilization. It was one of those sticky September mornings in 1947, the kind where the humidity clings to your skin like a cheap suit after a long night out. The sun was doing its best to bake Manhattan through the windows of the old brownstone on West 35th Street, but inside, things were as cool and controlled as ever. That's how Nero Wolfe liked it. His world, his rules. Me? I'm Archie Goodwin, the guy who keeps the wheels turning while the boss plays genius in his oversized chair. I've got the looks of a matinee idol, the punch of a prize fighter, and enough charm to talk my way out of a locked safe. Or into one, depending on the job. That morning, I was at my desk in the office, hammering away at the typewriter like it owed me money. The keys clicked under my fingers with a rhythm that could have passed for jazz if you squinted your ears. Reports from our last case, a tidy little affair involving a poisoned orchid collector, were piling up, and I was determined to clear the deck before lunch. Fritz Brenner, our Swiss chef extraordinaire, was in the kitchen whipping up something that smelled like heaven on a plate. Brioche, fresh from the oven, slathered with butter that could make a statue weep. The aroma wafted through the house, mixing with the faint scent of Wolfe's prized orchids drifting down from the plant rooms upstairs. 10,000 of them up there, give or take, each one pampered like a debutante at her coming-out ball. Wolfe himself was up there too, of course. From 9 to 11 every morning, rain or shine, he communed with his floral darlings, Theodore Horstman at his side like a faithful squire. It was sacred time. Interrupt it, and you'd get a glare that could curdle milk. Me, I knew better. I'd been with Wolfe long enough to respect the routine. 7 years now, ever since I walked in looking for work and found myself roped into the detective game. It's a good gig, excitement, decent pay, and the occasional brush with danger to keep the blood pumping. Sure, Wolfe's a mountain of a man, 1/7 of a ton he calls it, with eccentricities that could fill a book, but he's the sharpest mind this side of Einstein. Solves murders without leaving his chair mostly. I do the legwork, he does the thinking. Symbiosis, they call it. The clock on the wall ticked toward 10:30 when the doorbell chimed, that old-fashioned ding-dong that always sounded like it was announcing royalty or trouble. In our line, it was usually the latter. I pushed back from the desk, straightened my tie, a snappy blue number with white polka dots, and sauntered to the door. Peering through the one-way glass panel, I spotted a woman on the stoop. Not just any woman. This one had class written all over her, from the tailored suit that hugged her figure like a glove to the wide-brimmed hat. Shading eyes that looked like they'd seen more than a few sunrises over exotic horizons. She clutched a yellow envelope in one gloved hand, her knuckles white around it. Trouble, all right. The glamorous kind. I swung the door open with my best welcoming grin. "Good morning, miss. Can I help you?" Her gaze flicked over me, appraising like she was sizing up a potential ally. Or Mark. "Mr. Archie Goodwin." Her voice was smooth, cultured, with a hint of an accent I couldn't quite place. British, maybe, polished by years abroad. "I'm here to see Nero Wolfe. It's a matter of utmost urgency." I stepped aside, gesturing her in. Right this way. And you are Dr. Evelyn Harrington." She removed her gloves as she entered, revealing hands that were elegant but calloused, the kind that had done real work, maybe digging in dirt or handling artifacts. Archaeologist, recently returned from the Middle East. Archaeologist? That piqued my interest. We didn't get many of those in the brownstone. Usually, it was widows with poisoned husbands or tycoons with embezzling secretaries. I led her into the office, the Persian rug muffling our footsteps. She took the red leather chair facing Wolfe's desk, the one reserved for clients, and perched on the edge like she might bolt at any second. I offered her coffee from the pot Fritz kept hot on the sideboard. "Black, please," she said, her voice steady but with an undercurrent of strain. "No sugar." I poured, handed it over, and settled at my desk with my notebook ready. "Mr. Wolfe will be down at 11 sharp. He's upstairs with his orchids, non-negotiable. In the meantime, maybe you can fill me in. I'm his confidential assistant, eyes, ears, and occasionally fists." She hesitated, sipping the coffee. Fritz's brew, strong enough to wake the dead. Her eyes, dark and intense, met mine over the rim. "Very well, but this stays between us until he arrives." She set the cup down and unfolded the envelope. A cablegram, the kind that screams international intrigue. "This arrived yesterday afternoon. From Petra, in Jordan. My fiancé, Professor Reginald Thorne, has been murdered." Murdered. The word hung in the air like smoke from a gun barrel. I leaned forward, pencil poised. "Go on." Reggie, Professor Thorne, was part of an archaeological expedition excavating the ancient city of Petra. You've heard of it. The Nabatean capital, carved into rose-red cliffs. Pronunciation Nabatean. They've been uncovering tombs beneath Al-Khazneh, the treasury, one of the wonders of the world. Reggie specialized in Nabatean inscriptions. Last week they made a breakthrough. A hidden chamber with 12 skeletons, artifacts intact, priceless. But now, her voice cracked, just a hair, before she steadied it. Stabbed, in the back, inside the very tomb he discovered. I whistled low, the sound echoing softly in the room. "Nasty business. Any details in the cable?" She passed it over. The paper was crisp, the words typed in that impersonal telegraph font. "Thorne dead. Dagger in back. Curse of Nabateans suspected. Expedition in chaos. Come at once. Harlan." "Dr. Elias Harlan," she explained, anticipating my question. "The expedition leader. A brilliant man, but prone to dramatics. This talk of a curse, it's nonsense, of course. Petra's tombs have legends. Guardians of the dead. Vengeful spirits, if disturbed." But Reggie laughed at that. He was a scientist, through and through. I jotted notes. Harlan, curse, dagger. Why come to Wolfe? The locals handling it? The Jordanian authorities are involved, but it's a remote site. Bedouin tribes, political tensions post-war. Harlan's cable begs for outside help. And Wolfe, his reputation precedes him. I've read about his cases in the papers. The way he unravels impossibilities from afar. She leaned in, her perfume, something spicy, like desert winds, wafting over. "Please, Mr. Goodwin, I need him. Reggie and I were to marry next spring. He proposed under the stars in Petra, amid the ruins. Now, blood spilled in that sacred place." Sacred place. The phrase evoked images. Towering cliffs the colour of faded roses. Narrow gorges snaking through rock, facades etched by ancient hands. I'd seen pictures in National Geographic, the sick, that mile-long cleft leading to the treasury, where camels plodded and echoes whispered secrets. Murder there. It had a biblical ring, like Cain and Abel in the wilderness. I glanced at the clock, 10:55. "Wolfe'll be down soon. He'll want facts, not sentiment. Motives, enemies." She shook her head. Reggie was beloved, but the dig, rivalries. Harlan might resent his rising star. There's Lydia Voss, the photographer, Reggie's ex before me. Jealous, perhaps. Omar al-Rashid, the Bedouin guide, fiercely protective of the sights. And Victor Kane, the American backer. Money always muddies waters. Suspects already. I liked her. Sharp, composed under fire. We'll get to the bottom of it. Wolfe's a wizard with puzzles. The elevator hummed. Wolfe's private lift from the plant rooms. Precisely at 11, the door opened, and in he came. Nero Wolfe, 285 pounds of immovable intellect, clad in a yellow silk shirt that billowed like a sail, vest straining over his expanse. His face, broad and impassive, showed the faint sheen of exertion from orchid tending. He crossed to his desk, custom-built to hold his bulk, and lowered himself into the chair with a sigh that could deflate a balloon. Behind the desk, the globe and the waterfall picture loomed like silent sentinels. His eyes, small and keen under heavy lids, fixed on Dr. Harrington. Madam. His voice was a rumble, rich as aged brandy. You intrude upon my schedule. State your case succinctly. Archie will take notes. She straightened, unfazed. Mr. Wolfe, thank you for seeing me. I'm Dr. Evelyn Harrington. He waved a hand, fleshy and manicured. Archie has briefed me via the house phone. The cable, please. I hadn't, but Wolfe had his ways, probably eavesdropped from upstairs. She handed it over. He read, lips pursing. Phooey, curses, medieval twaddle. Murder, however, is timeless. Details, madam. She recounted. The expedition funded by Kane started in 46 amid post-war optimism. Thorne's discovery, the tomb with skeletons arranged in a circle, as if in ritual. Artifacts, gold diadems, inscribed urns hinting at lost Nabatean rites. Then, 2 nights ago, Thorne found alone, dagger, a curved kunjar, pronunciation kunjar, buried in his back. No witnesses, but footprints in the sand smudged. Wolfe tented his fingers. Motive? Unknown, but the tomb held value, perhaps smuggling or academic sabotage. He grunted. Archie, opinions? Smells like greed, boss. Or passion. Dames and daggers go together like gin and tonic. Phooey, but his eyes gleamed. The hook was set. Madam, my fee is substantial, and I do not travel. I expected as much. A retainer of 5,000 wired today, and you won't need to leave. Send Mr. Goodwin. Wolfe eyed me. Archie, to the desert? I grinned. Why not? Sand, adventure, maybe a camel ride. Beats typing reports. He sighed. Very well, but first, lunch. Fritz has prepared veal kidneys en brochette. Join us, Dr. Harrington. She demurred, but stayed for details. As we talked, the mystery thickened. Whispers of a curse of the 12. Skeletons said to guard a secret. Red herring or clue. Chapter 2. Suspects in the Sandwolf. Hating travel is like a cat hating water, profound and unyielding. But Dr. Harrington's retainer hit the bank like a jackpot. 5 grand wired overnight, and suddenly the boss was all business. Archie, he growled over Fritz's veal kidneys, you will go to Petra. Observe, report, and do not engage in frivolities. Frivolities? Me? I packed my suitcase with linen suits, my 38 snub nose, and a flask of rye for the rough spots. Evelyn, Dr. Harrington insisted on first names now, tagged along, her eyes still shadowed by grief, but sparked with determination. You'll need a guide, she said. Petra's no Coney Island. The flight was a marathon. Pan Am Clipper from Idlewild to London, then on to Cairo, and finally a rickety prop plane to Amman. Jordan in 47 was a patchwork of British mandates winding down, Bedouin tents dotting the desert like freckles on a redhead's nose. From Amman, we bumped south in a dust-choked Ford. Evelyn pointing out waddies and Roman ruins blurring past. "Petra's hidden," she explained, her voice cutting through the engine rumble. "The Nabateans carved it 2 millennia ago. Trade, hub for frankincense and myrrh. Alcazne is the star, treasury facade, guarding tombs below." I mopped sweat with a handkerchief. "And Thorn, what got him knifed?" "Jealousy, maybe, or the find, those 12 skeletons. Arranged in a ritual circle, bones etched with curses. Harlan thinks it's a guardian chamber." Curses again, Wolfe would snort "Fry" at that. Me, I kept an open mind. Deserts breed superstitions like New York breeds cabbies. We reached the Seku at dusk, that narrow gorge slicing through cliffs like a knife through butter. Towering walls, rose-red and veined with purple, closed in, the path twisting for over a mile. Our camels swayed, bells tinkling softly, the air cooling with shadows. Evelyn rode side saddle ahead, her hat brim flapping. "Feel the history, Archie! Echoes of caravans long gone." I did. The rock faces whispered, or maybe it was wind. Then, rounding a bend, wham! Alcazne burst into view, bathed in sunset gold. A Hellenistic masterpiece, columns, urns, pediments chiselled into solid stone. Bullet pocks scarred the upper urn. Old Bedouin tales of hidden pharaoh's gold, shot at to spill treasures. No luck, but the facade stood eternal, guarding secrets below. The expedition camp sprawled nearby, canvas tents flapping in the breeze, lanterns flickering like fireflies. Camels grumbled in a corral. The smell of coffee and lamb stew hung heavy. Dr. Elias Harlan rushed out to greet us, a wiry man in his 50s, sunburned skin stretched over sharp bones, spectacles glinting. "Harrington, and you must be Goodwin. Wolfe sent his emissary." His handshake was firm, but his eyes darted like a man with cards up his sleeve. "Archie's here to crack this," Evelyn said. "Where's the team?" Harlan led us to the main tent, a makeshift HQ cluttered with maps, artifacts, and a field radio crackling static. "Assemble, everyone! The detective's man is here." First in, Lydia Voss, the photographer. A firecracker of a dame, red hair cascading like lava, green eyes snapping with challenge. She wore khakis that fit like they were painted on, a Leica camera slung around her neck. "So, you're the city slicker playing Sherlock." Her voice was husky, smoked by too many camels. Reggie deserved better than a desert grave. I noted the bitterness. "Ex-fiancé," Evelyn had said. "Motive? Hell hath no fury." Next, Omar al-Rashid, the Bedouin guide. Tall, robed in white thobe, keffiyeh framing a face weathered like the cliffs. Dark eyes, moustache like a scimitar. "Salam alaikum," he intoned, hand on heart. "The tombs weep for the desecrator." His English was clipped, accent thick as hummus. Protective of the sites, maybe too much. Then Victor Kane, the financier. American through and through, pinstripe suit absurd in the heat, fedora tilted, cigar stub clenched, sweaty florid face beaming false charm. "Goodwin, heard Wolfe's the best. This mess is costing me." Dig stalled. Money man, bankrolling for prestige. Or profit? Harlan cleared his throat. "The body's in the tomb, preserved in the cool. Local police poked around, muttered about curses, and left. Bedouins avoid it now." "Show me," I said. We descended via a rope ladder into the excavated chamber below Alcazne. Fresh dig, walls rough-hewn, air musty with centuries. Lanterns cast dancing shadows on the 12 skeletons, bony sentinels in a circle, some with gold torques, urns at their feet inscribed in swirling Nabatean script. Thorn lay slumped against a wall, face frozen in surprise, a curved Khanjar dagger hilt deep in his back. Blood stained the sand black. No struggle marks. Footprints? Smudged, but one clear. A boot print, size 10 maybe. Evelyn stifled a sob. "Reggie!" I knelt, careful not to disturb, in his clenched fist a scrap of paper torn. "Meet, midnight, treasure." Half a note, clue or setup. Lydia snapped photos, flash-popping. He was on to something big. Omar muttered prayers. The Guardian struck. Kane fidgeted. That map he found, to hidden gold, worth a fortune. Harlan shushed him. Speculation. Back topside, I grilled them one by one over stew. Harlan first. Thorne was brilliant but ambitious. His paper on the skeletons would have eclipsed mine. Red herring. Academic envy. Lydia. We were engaged once. He ditched me for Evelyn. But kill him? I'd rather shoot his portrait. Her darkroom nearby. Chemicals that could hide prints? Omar. Foreigners dig up our ancestors. Thorne ignored warnings. His tent held similar daggers. Cultural, he claimed. Kane. Invested heavy. Thorne talked of cutting me out if he found the cash alone. Greed plain. Evelyn whispered to me, "Trust no one, Archie. Shadows here hide knives." Night fell, stars like diamonds over the cliffs. I wired Wolfe, suspects galore, clues scarce. Details follow. His reply, observe closely, PFUI to curses. But as I bedded down, a shadow flitted past my tent flap. A glint of steel? I grabbed my .38, but it vanished into the Siku Chapter 3, clues in the crypt. Dawn in Petra hits like a spotlight on a Broadway stage, sudden, golden, and unforgiving. The rose-red cliffs glowed as the sun crested, turning the sick into a canyon of fire. I was up with the roosters, or camels anyway, nursing a tin cup of thick Arabic coffee that could strip paint off a Packard. Evelyn hovered nearby, her face pale under the hat brim, eyes red-rimmed from a sleepless night. "Archie," she murmured, handing me a canteen of water. "Be careful down there. The tomb, it feels wrong now." Wrong? The whole setup screamed hinky from the jump. Wolfe's wire had crackled in overnight. Details insufficient. Examine the dagger, the note, the footprints, PFUI to shadows. Easy for him. He was back in the brownstone, probably tucking into Fritz's omelette finds herbs while I played Indiana Jones in khakis. Harlan led the way, lantern swinging. We've sealed the entrance best we can, but Bedouins whisper of ghosts. Lydia. Trailed, camera ready. Omar scowled silently. Kane puffed a cigar, complaining about delays costing thousands. We roped down one by one into the chamber, cool air slapping my face like a wet towel, thick with the scent of dust and decay. The 12 skeletons grinned from their circle, empty sockets staring like jurors at a trial. Nabatean big shots, Harlan said, priests or kings buried with gold amulets and urns etched in that curly script. Pronunciation, Nabatean. Thorne's body had been moved to a side alcove, covered in canvas out of respect, or to hide details from prying eyes. I peeled it back. Rigours set in. His face was locked in a grimace, lips pulled back over teeth. The Khanjar dagger, curved like a crescent moon, hilt wrapped in faded leather, protruded from his back, buried to the guard. Blood crusted the sand beneath, a dark pool that had soaked in overnight. "Local coppers pull prints?" I asked Harlan. He adjusted his spectacles. "Dusted with camel hairbrush. Nothing clear. Sand shifts." I knelt closer, flashlight beam dancing. Clue 1, the dagger itself. Engraved along the blade, faint but visible. A scorpion motif, tail raised to strike. "Omar," I called up. "This look familiar?" The Bedouin descended, face tightening. "Khanjar common here, but that mark, family heirloom. Mine was stolen 2 days ago. Red herring, or plant. His eyes flashed anger. At the thief, or me for asking. I pocketed a sand sample from the wound. Wolfe might want it analysed, though mailing it stateside would take weeks. Next, the scrap in Thorne's fist. I pried it free gently. Yellowed paper, torn jagged. "Meet me midnight. The treasure is real. Come alone." No signature, but handwriting slanted, educated, Thorne's or a lure? Lydia leaned in, flash popping. "That's not Reggie's scrawl. Too loopy. Look, the T crosses high." Her own photos from yesterday showed Thorne's notes. Blocky, precise, mismatch. "You developed these yourself?" I asked. "In my tent darkroom. Why?" "Just curious." Chemicals there could alter paper. Fake age, motive, jilted lover plants, evidence. Up top, I cornered Kane by the camels. "You mentioned a map to gold." He mopped his brow. Thorne sketched it from an urn inscription. Hidden cache beyond the skeletons. Nabatean hoard. Spices turned to dust, but gold? Millions. He promised me first dibs, then clammed up. Greed's a classic. But his boots, Italian leather size 11, didn't match the print below. Narrower, with a heel-wear pattern. Omar prayed nearby, murmuring in Arabic. I sidled over. "You warned Thorne about digging deep?" He stood towering. "Ancestors guard secrets. Disturb them. Curse falls. 12 guardians. 1 for each moon." Superstition. But his alibi? "Where were you night of?" "With tribe. Under stars. Witnesses. Solid, maybe." I slipped into his tent later. Daggers galore, but one slot empty on a display rug. Stolen or used? Evelyn pulled me, aside mid-morning. "Archie, Reggie's trunk. I unpacked it last night." She led to her tent, flipping the lid. Clothes, journals, a photo of us. Wait, her and Thorne under the treasury facade, arms linked. Torn in half, her side missing. "Jealous ex," I teased. "Lydia, probably, but look." A hidden compartment. Love letters, faded ink. Not to Evelyn, from a woman named Clara Harlan, Elias's late wife. Blackmail? Reggie found these? Harlan's motive deepened. Thorne exposing an affair. Lunch was mansaf. Lamb over rice, yogurt sauce tangy as a DA's cross-exam. Pronunciation, mansaf. Wolfe would approve. I wired him tastes via description. While eating, I re-examined the tomb alone. Clue 2. Footprints. The clear one led to Thorne's body, but fainter trails circled the skeletons. Small, women's size 6, Evelyn's pumps or Lydia's boots, and overlooked. A skeleton's hand, fingerbone missing, sawn clean. Recent, tool marks fresh. Intellectual puzzle brewing, why arrange 12 in a circle? Ritual or code? Inscriptions on urns. I sketched one. Waves, scorpions, a hidden door symbol. Back in camp, tensions simmered. Lydia developed prints, emerging with wet photos. Thorne alive, posing by the dagger wall display, Omar's collection. One blade missing in the shot. "Timed before theft," she said triumphantly. Kane offered a bribe slyly. "Find the map, Goodwin. Split 50-50. Wolfe don't play that." Harlan ranted about curses. Bullet holes outside? From treasure hunters. But inside, the guardians strike true. Red herring pylon. Curse, theft, jealousy, greed, blackmail. That afternoon, I tailed a shadow, Omar to a spring, meeting Lydia? Whispered conference. Thorne knew the real entrance. Overheard snippet. Before Harlan claims it. Alliance or setup? Evening brought a sand gust, whipping tents. I reported to Wolfe via radio patch, crackly but clear. Clues, dagger stolen, note forged, footprints feminine, missing bone, letters to wife. His rumble. Compile alibis. The circle. Symmetry demands a center. Center? The blood pool was offset. Night fell heavy. Lanterns out. I guarded my tent. 38 cocked. A scrape outside. Knife on canvas. I burst out, chasing a robed figure into the cliffs, lost in the 6 twists, but dropped. A gold amulet, scorpion-etched. Chapter 4. Red Herrings and Rose. Red Lies. The desert night wrapped Petra like a velvet curtain, stars sharp as pinpricks overhead. I sat by the campfire, the glow flickering on the expedition tents, my .38 snug in its shoulder holster after last night's chase. That dropped amulet, gold, scorpion-etched, burned in my pocket like a hot poker chip. Was it Omar's, tying him to the shadow? Or another plant to muddy the waters? Wolfe's latest wire buzzed in my head. Alibis, motives, centre of circle, ignore myths. Easier said than done when the SEQO's echoes sounded like Nabatean ghosts muttering grudges. Breakfast was flatbread and goat cheese, washed down with coffee black as a DA's mood. Evelyn sat close, her eyes scanning the camp like a hawk's. Archie, that amulet, it's from the tomb, one of the 12. Stolen, then dropped. I filed it away. Wolfe had wanted mailed for a say, but out here, the nearest post office was a camel ride to Oman. Dr. Elias Harlan called a meeting in the main tent, maps and urns cluttering the table. The team gathered, tension thick as the dust on my boots. Lydia Voss fiddled with her Leica, her red curls catching the lantern light. Omar al-Rashid stood rigid, Kafir shadowing his scowl. Victor Kane, the financier, puffed a cigar, his suit wilted like lettuce left in the sun. Evelyn stayed near me, her hand brushing mine, steadying herself or signalling trust. Hard to tell with dames like her. I started with Harlan, channeling Wolfe's method, facts, not feelings. Doc, you said Thorne's paper threatened your rep. Enough to want him gone? Harlan's spectacles glinted. Preposterous. Reginald was my protégé. His findings on the skeletons, ritual burials, possibly royal, would have crowned our dig. I'd gain, not lose, motive, academic glory. But his journal, glimpsed yesterday, had rants about Thorne stealing credit. Red herring or resentment, Lydia next. You tore that photo of you and Thorne, still sore about the breakup. She lit a cigarette, smoke curling like a question mark. Sure, Reggie dumped me for Evelyn's blue eyes, stung, but I'm no killer. I shoot with a lens, not a blade. Her darkroom held chemicals, phenidone, acetic acid, but no blood traces. Yet, her photos showed Kane sneaking near the tomb at dusk, 2 nights back. Blackmail material? Omar was tougher. You said your dagger was stolen, convenient, and that amulet, yours? His eyes narrowed, hand grazing his thobe where a blade might hide. Not mine. The Guardians marked their own. Thorne defiled their rest. His alibi held. Bedouins swore he prayed at sunset, miles away. But his tent's empty dagger slot nagged me. Planted to frame him? Kane leaned in, voice oily. Goodwin, let's talk business. Thorne's map. Real gold out there. Partner with me, we'll split it. His breath reeked of bourbon and greed. Wolfe don't chase treasure, pal. Just truth. His boots didn't match the tomb print, but his ledger showed payments to OR. Omar? Bribes for access? Evelyn whispered later, over tea. Archie? Reggie's notes mention a hidden door in the tomb. Harlan dismissed it as fantasy, but what if it's real? Her fingers trembled. Fear, or hiding something. Those love letters from Harlan's late wife, found in Thorne's trunk, pointed to blackmail. Was Evelyn complicit? I wired Wolfe at noon. Amulet tomb-linked. Letters suggest Harlan affair. Footprints feminine. Alibis shaky. His reply, motives overlap. Search Kane's tent. I slipped into Kane's canvas. Set up while he napped, sloppy, leaving his flap open. Jackpot, a folded map, parchment style, marked with an X past the royal tombs. But the ink smelled fresh, edges too crisp. Forgery, planted to throw me off? A scrawled note tucked inside. Thorn betrayed us. Us? Kane and who? Back at camp, Lydia cornered me. Found something in my negatives. She showed a contact sheet. Thorn arguing with Omar. Dagger in view, pre-murder. Reggie caught him selling artifacts to locals. Omar was livid. Red herring pylon, stolen dagger, fake map, torn photo, love letters, amulet. Everyone had a grudge. Harlan's academic pride, Lydia's broken heart, Omar's sacred duty, Kane's dollar signs, Evelyn's what? Grief-masking guilt? Evening brought a chill. I rechecked the tomb, flashlight sweeping. The missing finger bone from skeleton 9, sawn off, not broken. A modern tool, maybe a hacksaw from the dig kit. Clue, someone wanted that bone. Why? Inscription on it, per Evelyn's hint. I sketched the urns again, waves, scorpions, a door glyph. Wolf's center nagged me. Measuring the skeleton circle, I found it. A faint crack in the floor, dead center, a trapdoor, sealed tight, no time to pry. As I climbed out, a scream split the night. Evelyn's! I sprinted to her tent. She stood, trembling, pointing at her cot, a dagger, twin to Thorn's murder weapon, pinned a note to her pillow. Leave Petra, or join him. I scanned the darkness, no shadow this time. The note's handwriting matched the torn scrap from Thorn's fist. Same loopy T, high-crossed. A woman's? Lydia's? Evelyn's own, staging fear. I radioed Wolfe. Second dagger, note matches, trapdoor hint. He growled back, compel confessions, circle hides the key. Firelight faded. The team eyed each other like wolves circling a kill. I tucked the amulet away, my 38 close. Someone was playing dirty, and I was no camel to be led by the nose. Chapter 5. Whispers in the Sick. The second dagger pinned to Evelyn's pillow had me seeing red, or rose, matching Petra's cliffs. I yanked it free, the blade glinting wickedly in the lantern light, and stuffed the note into my pocket for comparison. Same paper stock as the scrap from Thorn's fist. Same feminine flourish in the script. This ain't a curse, I muttered to Evelyn, who stood shivering in her nightgown despite the desert warmth. This is a two-bit hood trying to scare us off the scent. But who? Lydia's looping handwriting? Or Evelyn staging her own drama to play the damsel? She clutched my arm, her grip tight as a vice. Archie, it's escalating. First Reggie, now me. We have to tell the others. Tell them nothing yet, I said, channeling Wolfe's caution. Let 'em sweat. Panic loosens tongues. I radioed the boss at first light. The connection crackly over the miles, but his rumble came through. Threat confirms killer in camp. Cross-examine alibis for midnight. Trapdoor. Pry it. PFUI to fear. Breakfast was a tense affair. Dates, yogurt, and stares sharper than Kanjars. Harlan presided like a nervous host, spectacles fogging in the heat. Police return today, he announced. We must cooperate. Lydia snapped photos of the dagger I waved. Omar muttered prayers. Kane wired New York for more funds, complaining about cursed investments. I started the grillings proper, Wolf-style but on foot. Proxy interrogations, me firing his questions via notes I'd memorized. First Harlan in the dig tent. Doc, where were you midnight last? Evelyn's tent slashed, daggered. He blanched. Asleep, exhausted from cataloguing urns. Ask the cook. I retired early. Alibi, thin. The cook was half-deaf. Lydia next, in her darkroom tent reeking of fixer. You develop fakes as easy as photos. That notes your style. She laughed, husky and defiant. Flattering, Goodwin. But I was processing negatives till dawn. Flash burns on my fingers, see? She held them up, red-tipped. Possible, but chemicals could fake that too. Omar by the camels. You drop amulets like breadcrumbs, and threats fit your guardian talk. His face darkened. Infidel! I guarded the Sikhi entrance all night, as always. Bedouins saw me. Solid. Tribes stuck together. Kane in his luxury tent. Silk sheets absurd. You finance scares to cut costs. Buy low after panic? He chuckled nervously. Kid, I'd kill for profit, but not like this. I was on the radio, haggling with backers. Logs prove it. Tech alibi. Checkable. Evelyn last, privately. You write your own fan mail. Feminine prints in the tomb. Your size. Her eyes widened, innocent as a debutante. Archie, I'd never. Reggie was my world. Tears welled, but dames can cry on cue. Those love letters nagged. Was she covering for Harlan? Mid-morning, I tailed Omar discreetly. He slipped into the sick, robe flowing like a ghost. I followed, hugging the shadowed walls, the gorge narrowing till sunlight was a sliver above. Echoes amplified every breath. He met Lydia? Yes, red hair peeking from a scarf. Whispered conference by a hidden spring, water trickling like secrets. I crept closer, heart pounding. Thorn knew too much, Omar hissed. The real entrance, behind the 12th skeleton. Lydia, Harlan can't claim it alone. Split with me. Alliance? Black market artifacts? I snapped a mental photo. But wait, footsteps behind me. I whirled. 38 drawn. Nothing. Paranoia. Or a third shadow. Back at camp, I pried the trapdoor clue. Down in the tomb alone, rope ladder creaking, I measured the circle's center again. The crack, I wedged my knife, levered. It budged. A stone slab, hinged anciently. Beneath, a narrow shaft, ladder rungs carved in rock. Air wafted up, cooler, with a metallic tang. Gold? I flashed my light. Steps descending to darkness. No time to explore. Voices above. Clue, fresh scrape marks on the slab. Opened recently. Thorn's midnight meat. I radioed Wolfe. Trapdoor. Leads deeper. Omar Lydia plot. His reply, descend. Map the shaft. Motives converge on hidden chamber. Afternoon heat baked the cliffs. I grilled again. Group this time. Who's been in the subchamber? Thorn's note mentioned treasure. Blank stares. Harlan. Myth. No such door. But his eyes darted. Liar. Evelyn fainted suddenly, or faked. Collapsing into my arms, whispering, poison, in my tea. Drama. I sniffed her cup. Bitter almond trace. Cyanide. No, just strong herbs. Fake out. Kane offered a flask. Brandy revives her. I knocked it away, paranoia peaking. Dusk painted the sick purple. I tailed Lydia now, to the spring alone. She met no one, but dug frantically, unearthing a small urn, Nabatean, gold-rimmed, stolen. Overheard soliloquy. Reggie, you fool! Harlan smuggling, I have proof. Proof, I confronted her. Spill red, what's the game? She startled, then spilled. Photos of Harlan, loading crates at night, fakes in, reels out. Thorn discovered, demanded cut. He was going to expose him. Motive shift. Harlan the smuggler. But Omar appeared. Dagger drawn. Thief. Chaos. I disarmed him. Easy, pal. We're all friends here. Night fell. Whispers everywhere. Sick whines carrying voices or camp gossip. I wired Wolfe. Subchamber. Smuggling evidence. Omar Lydia. Innocent. He, gather them. Reveal tomorrow. But as I bedded down, a real whisper at my tent. Goodwin, the center holds the key, come alone. Chapter 6. The Gathering Storm. The whisper at my tent flap lingered like a bad hangover. Come alone, the center holds the key. Trap or tip-off? I gripped my 38, peered out into the starlit Siku, but the night swallowed any shadow. Petra's cliffs loomed black against the sky, ancient sentinels keeping their own counsel. Back in New York, Wolfe would be sipping beer, orchids nodding approval, while I played mouse in this Nabatean cat and mouse. His last radio crackle echoed, gather them at dawn, logic over legends. But dawn was hours away, and the desert had its own timetable. I didn't sleep. Instead, I paced the camp, lantern low, ears pricked for another whisper. The team bedded down uneasily. Harlan's tent glowed with a reading lamp. Lydia's darkroom hummed faintly. Omar's silhouette prayed toward Mecca. Kane snored like a faulty engine. Evelyn tossed in her cot, murmuring Reggie's name. That subchamber nagged me, the trapdoor shaft plunging into who knows what. Gold, more bones, or the killer's lair. Midnight crept in on camel feet. Wind rose, whipping sand into eddies. I slipped to the tomb entrance, rope ladder swaying. Down I went, flashlight beam cutting the dark. The 12 skeletons gleamed ghostly, their circle mocking me. Center slab. I pried again, muscles straining. It lifted easier this time. Oiled? The shaft yawned, rungs slick with dew. 10 feet down, a ledge, 20, a chamber. My light caught glints, urns, stacked crates, modern labelled Cairo Museum replicas. Smuggling stash. Harlan's fakes, real artifacts outbound. Jackpot clue, a ledger on a crate, pages fluttering. Entries, gold talk, sold to Kane contact, 5K. Inscribed urn, Lydia photos for authenticity. Dagger set, Omar supply. Everyone in on it? Thorne's name crossed out. Demanded 50% or expose. Motive crystallized. Thorne stumbled on the ring, got greedy, paid with steel, but footsteps above, soft, hurried. I doused the light, hugged the wall. A figure descended, robed, lantern swinging. Omar? No, slighter. Lydia. She reached the bottom, whispered, Archie, you here? Busted. I flicked on. Fancy meeting you in the underworld, Red. She gasped, then recovered with a smirk. Couldn't sleep? That whisper. You too? She eyed the ledger. Proof. Harlan's the spider. We're the flies. Allied now? I flipped pages. Her photos listed as forgery aids. You in deep? Blackmailed, she hissed. Reggie found out, pulled me in to expose, but someone knifed him first. Thunder growled outside, real storm brewing. Wind howled up the sick, sandstorm incoming. We scrambled up as gusts battered the ladder, topsides chaos, tents flapping like surrender flags, lanterns extinguishing. The team stumbled out, shouting over the roar. Harlan bellowed, Secure the artifacts! His eyes wild behind spectacles. Kane clutched his hat. My investment! Buried! Omar lashed ropes. Allah's wrath! Evelyn ran to me, hair whipping. Archie the storm! Biblical! Visibility zeroed, sand stinging like buckshot. We huddled in the main tent. Biblical indeed. Walls billowing, pegs straining. Trapped together, no escape till it passed. Perfect for confessions, Wolfe would say. I lit a hurricane lamp, faces flickering, fear, suspicion. Storm's a gift, I announced. No running. Spill. Who's smuggling? Gasps. Harlan paled. Absurd. I slapped the ledger down. Your handwriting, Doc. Sales to black market. Thorne found out. Lydia nodded. I photographed fakes for him. He forced me. Omar spat. I supplied daggers for protection, not crime. Kane laughed nervously. I funded legit. Any side deals, news to me. Evelyn fainted again. Real this time. Slumping against crates, whispering, Water? I fetched a canteen. She sipped, eyes fluttering. Reggie told me everything. Harlan killed him to silence. Harlan lunged for the ledger. I blocked, 38 out. Easy, Professor. Storm or no, justice waits. Wind screamed, tent poles groaning. A rip tore the canvas, sand poured in. We braced, shouting alibis over the gale. Harlan, I catalogued all night. Lydia, darkroom alone. Omar, guarding. Kane, radio. Evelyn revived, accusing, You all lied. The trapdoor. Thorne met his killer there. Red herrings swirled like the sand. Smuggling ring or solo? Ledger implicated all, but crossed out Thorne suggested he was out, or threat. Clue in chaos, Evelyn's faint, her cup from earlier, dregs bitter. I sniffed. Not herbs, Sedative, self-dosed. For drama. Omar chanted prayers. Guardian's rage! Phooey! But the storm uncovered more. A crate tipped spilling. The missing finger bone. Inscribed tiny map glyphs, pointing deeper. Intellectual spark. Circle's center key. Unlocked a false bottom. Thunder cracked. Tent held barely. Hours blurred. Stories swapped. Accusations flew. Kane admitted buying one tortu for collection. Lydia confessed forging photo dates. Omar admitted selling a dagger to infidels. Harlan ranted curses fictional. Evelyn clung to me. Archie, protect us! Chapter 7. Threads in the Tapestry. The storm left Petra looking like a dame after a rough night. Dishevelled, but still stunning. Tents sagged with sand piles, artifacts dusted like powdered sugar on Fritz's donuts. Thorn's missing dagger from the alcove? That twisted the knot tighter. Someone braved the gale to swipe it. Why? Souvenir? Or to plant elsewhere? I stood by the treasury facade. Alcazar's columns etched sharp against the clearing sky, mulling Wolfe's dawn radio. Threads visible. Converge on center. PFUI to storms. Easy for him. My boots were full of grit, and my patience thinner than a cheap alibi. The team emerged bleary-eyed, brushing off the night. Harlan adjusted his spectacles, peering at the damage like a professor grading a botched exam. Lydia's red hair was a wild tangle, her camera slung protectively. Omar muttered thanks to Allah, tying down flaps with rope-rough hands. Kane cursed his ruined suit, yelling for coffee. Evelyn leaned on me, her colour back but eyes shadowed. Archie, the body's been tampered with. The killer's mocking us. Mocking? Or cleaning up? I herded them to the main tent for breakfast. Flatbread, dates and yogurt that stuck to the ribs. Eat up, I said. Wolfe wants answers, and the light's good for truth. I laid out the ledger, fingerbone, amulet, notes and photos on the table like a poker hand. Faces tightened. First thread, the smuggling ledger. Harlan, your script. Sales to black market via Cairo. Kane's contacts. The financier choked on his coffee. Lies! I funded legit. Any extras were bonuses. Lydia smirked. Bonuses? Your collection talk matches entry 12. Omar nodded slowly. I supplied blades for authenticity, not knowing, Harlan sputtered. Fraudulent entries. Thorn forged them to blackmail us all. Red herring? Handwriting matched his journal, but experts stateside could confirm. I dangled the fingerbone, sawn from skeleton 9, tiny glyphs etched, a minimap, waves leading to a door under the circle. Thorn's treasure, not gold, proof of your ring. He sliced this off, hid it, Evelyn gasped. Reggie mentioned a key bone in his last letter. Clue, bone fresh cut, tool marks from a dig saw, Harlan's kit. Next, footprints re-examined post-storm. Sand shifted, but in the sub-chamber, preserved small, feminine, but with a nick in the heel. Lydia's boot? She wore flats yesterday. Evelyn's pumps had similar wear from New York sidewalks. Ladies, I said, one of you dance down there. Lydia lit a cigarette. Not me, darkroom all night. Evelyn paled. Archie, you suspect me. Wolfe's voice in my head. Suspect all. The amulet, scorpion from the tomb. Dropped in my chase. Omar's family mark. He touched his keffir. Similar, but mine's silver. This gold, royal from the 12. Planted, or killer's slip. Torn notes compared. Both scraps same paper. From Harlan's journal stock. Loopy T, but Harlan wrote blocky. Forgery? Lydia's photo-developing paper matched closer. Intellectual puzzle. The circle. Y12. Nabatean zodiac. I paced it again, down in the tomb with the group trailing. Center trapdoor open now, shaft revealed. Thorn met here, I said. Lured by note. Stabbed. Dagger left as curse. But why the back? attacker shorter, or trusted, close embrace. Harlan, superstition. Pfui, measurements, dagger angle downward, killer taller than Thorne's 5'10". Omar, Kane fidgeted. My map, you found it fake, but Thorne had the real one from the bone. Fake map in his tent. Ink tested with my kit. Fresh, but smudged with Lydia's fixer chemical. Lydia, you doctored it. She exhaled smoke. To mislead Harlan, he was cutting me out. Threads weaving, smuggling ring fractured. Thorne joins, demands more, threatens exposure. Killer silences him in tomb. Stages curse with stolen dagger. Omar's, plants amulet, tomb, forges notes, Lydia's paper, fakes map, Kane's greed. But the feminine prince. Red herring, Evelyn's, but she fetched water that night. Innocent path crossing. Love letters, from Clara Harlan to Thorne. He seduced her years ago, Harlan admitted bitterly. She died ashamed. Thorne taunted me with copies. Motive layered. Not just money, revenge. Storm confessions revisited. Kane bought one piece. Lydia faked dates. Omar sold blades. Harlan masterminded. Evelyn knew via Reggie. Overlooked clue. Blood in subchamber. A drop on a crate. Not Thorne's type. Oneg. Rare. His APOS from records. Killers. I pricked fingers subtly. Coffee accident. Harlan's bled Oneg. No, wait. Radio to Wolf mid-thread. Blood mismatch. He. Test properly. Center key is betrayal. Group interrogation intensified under the facade. The dagger stolen last night, to frame again? Omar, I guarded. But his robe had a fresh tear. Storm or struggle. Evelyn whispered, Archie, the urns, one blood-smudged modern. Yes. Urn 3, smudge tested. Animal blood. Goat from dinner, planted curse mark. Puzzle clicking. Killer used goat blood to fake extra gore. Enhance legend. Harlan ranted, all lies. The Guardians are you, I cut. Protecting your smuggling. But doubt. Why disturb body now? Clue. Missing dagger. Found by me. Buried in sand near Kane's tent. His fingerprints? Wiped, but cigar ash nearby. Kane. Planted. Threads tangled. Everyone touched everything. Afternoon heat rose. I descended the shaft alone, ledger in hand. Deeper chamber, more crates, a radio, black market contact log. Last call, Thorne dead, ship delayed, Harlan's voice on tape, no, distorted, up top, confrontation brewed. Tomorrow, I announced, Wolf reveals via me, gather at dawn. But night whispers returned. A note under my pillow. The tapestry unravels at the treasury. Come. Trap? Truth? I wired Wolf. Threads converge on Harlan, but gaps. He, fill them. Justice in the weave. Stars wheeled. Camp quiet, but tension hummed like sick winds. Chapter 8. Shadows lengthen the note under my pillow. The tapestry unravels at the treasury. Come. Had me twitchier than a cat in a room full of rockers. Handwriting matched the threats, loopy, feminine, Lydia, or a clever forge. Petra's afternoon heat baked the cliffs, turning the air shimmery, but shadows lengthened fast, creeping like suspects dodging questions. Wolf's latest radio growl still rang. Fill gaps, confront under stars, PFUI to notes, stars it would be. The treasury facade at night, lanterns flickering on carved urns, perfect stage for a showdown. I pocketed the note, 38 checked and loaded, and rounded up the troop mid-afternoon. Group hike, I announced. Tomb tour, fresh eyes on old bones. Grumbles, but they came. Harlan clutching his journal like a shield. Lydia with camera flashing. Omar silent as the cliffs. Kane wiping sweat with a monogrammed hanky. Evelyn at my side, her hand brushing mine. Comfort or calculation? Down the rope ladder into the chamber, air cool and musty. the 12 skeletons' eternal jurors. I pointed threads like a prosecutor. Ledger, smuggling, Harlan's pen. He pushed spectacles up. Planted, Thorne's revenge for Clara. Love letters waved. Your wife, his affair. Motive, humiliation. Harlan flushed. Ancient history. She died naturally. Lydia snapped a pick. Naturally. Reggie said poison rumours. Red herring or spark? Omar. I guarded tombs. You accuse me? His dagger slot empty, but a new blade glinted at his belt. Stolen one back, I asked. Or the murder weapon cleaned? He spat. Curses need no steel. Kane laughed. Curses? Baloney. Gold does. His fake map fluttered. Thorne promised riches, delivered death. Evelyn. Reggie found the sub-chamber first, proof in the bone. Fingerbone held high, glyphs glowing under flashlight. Map to your stash, Harlan. Fakes up, reels down. Descent to the shaft. We lowered one by one, lanterns swinging, crates radio, blood drop on urn. Tested with my kit, human, Oneg. Rare type, I said. Whose? Pricks earlier. Harlan's APOS, Lydia's O. Wait, no. Camp medic records from Harlan's files. Lydia AB, Evelyn Oneg. Her eyes widened. Coincidence? Or slip? Under stars now, climbed out as dusk fell, gathering before Alcazner. Facade loomed majestic bullet-pocked urn atop pediment mocking treasure hunters. Lanterns cast eerie glows, shadows dancing on columns. I relayed Wolfe's questions, voice booming in the gorge. Omar, you sold daggers. Alibi praise, but Bedouins lie for kin. He drew blade. Honor, disarmed easy, my 38 faster. Lydia, photos, fake dates, chemicals, forged notes, feminine prints, yours? She dropped camera. To survive, Harlan forced me. Kane, bought talks, planted map to deflect. Business, he blustered. Evelyn, inherited Reggie's notes, publication glory. Or silence him if he cut you out. She gasped. Archie, Harlan, all of you, but me, legacy. Real thread, the disturbed body. Dagger stolen in storm, found near Omar's tent, but ash was Kane's cigar. Misdirection, clue, radio log, last call in Lydia's voice, no, distorted, intellectual puzzle, why stab him back, trust, victim turned away, or height. Dagger angle, downward, killer taller, Thorne 5'10", Harlan 5'8", Lydia 5'6", Evelyn 5'7", Omar 6'2", Kane 5'11", Omar or Kane. But feminine notes, forge, amulet, gold royal, not Omar silver, from tomb, insider, goat blood on urn, Harlan's dinner ritual, no, stars wheeled, tension peaked, I lined them up. Confess, or Wolfe's logic nails you. Harlan ranted, Guardians, 12 for judgment, Fouet. But one skeleton, number 12, head turned as if watching. Overlooked, inscription on its talk, betrayer dies last. Thorne's position mirrored. Night interrogation deepened. Omar admitted, Thorne stole my dagger, I reclaimed. When? Stormed Lydia. I met Reggie midnight to warn, found him dead, alibi crumbles. Kane, I financed Harlan's fakes, cut Thorne out. Evelyn, Reggie alive when I left him, arguing with Harlan. Harlan lunged again at the ledger. I tripped him. Enough, I said. The cable, sent post-death by killer. Harlan's sign-off. He froze. And the bone, sawn by your tool, proof piled, but gap. Blood drop, Oneg. Evelyn's. She smiled faintly. Archie clever. Twist? No. Shadows lengthened literal. A figure in the sick. Local police. No Bedouin. Whisper. The killer flees. Chase. No. Illusion. Stars bright. I radioed Wolfe. Suspects cracked. Harlan Center. His, satisfactory. Reveal at dawn. But midnight. Another note. All tense. The shadows know. Mass panic. I gathered lanterns. Stay put. One shadow moved. Chapter 9. The crypt's secret. The shadow I'd chased into the tomb vanished like smoke in the seek. But it left a trail. Fresh scuff marks on the rope ladder. Sand trickling down like an hourglass running out. Dawn was hours away. Stars still pinning the velvet sky. But Wolfe's radio imperative burned. Reveal at first light. Gather in the crypt. No escape. Petra's rose-red cliffs loomed silent witnesses as I roused the camp. 38 in hand, voice sharp as a prosecutor's gavel. "Down below, everybody. The subchamber now. Wolfe's got the puzzle boxed, and it's time to open it." Grumbles turned to gasps as they stumbled from tents. Harlan clutching a lantern like a talisman. Lydia wrapping a scarf over her tousled red hair, camera forgotten. Omar's robe swirling as he muttered invocations. Kane stuffing a flask in his pocket, face florid even in the chill. Evelyn pale but resolute, her eyes locking on mine with a mix of fear and something sharper. Calculation? We roped down one by one, me first, gun ready, them herded like suspects in a lineup. The main chamber greeted us with the 12 skeletons, their bony circle a grim jury box under flickering light. I shoved the center slab fully open, revealing the shaft. "Deeper," I said, "where the real secrets hide." Lanterns swung as we descended the carved rungs, 20 feet to the ledge, then into the hidden vault. Crates loomed, labels mocking replicas, but insides gleamed with authentic gold. Torques, urns, amulets pilfered from above. The radio squatted in a corner, static humming like a trapped bee. Air stale, but a fresh draft whispered from a side fissure. Another passage? The team clustered, shadows leaping on walls etched with faded Nabatean script. Pronunciation, Nabatean. I positioned them in a semicircle, back to the crates, no bolting. "Wolfe speaks through me," I announced, voice echoing. "Facts, not fancies. The blood spilled here ain't cursed, it's greed pure and poisoned." Harlan adjusted his spectacles nervously. "Goodwin, this is farce. Police arrive soon. Release us." "Pfui," I echoed Wolfe. "They'll cuff the killer. Start with the dagger, curved kunjar, Omar's, stolen, but engraved scorpion, royal mark from the 12, insider job." Omar's eyes flashed. "Not mine. Guardians? Guardians don't smuggle." I kicked a crate open, gold spilled, clinking. "Your ledger, Harlan. Sales. Talk to Kane's contact. Urn authenticated by Lydia's photos. Daggers supplied by Omar." Kane sweated bullets. "Investments. Legit perks." Lydia lit a cigarette with shaking hands. "Forced. Reggie pulled me in to expose." Evelyn stepped forward. "Reggie died for truth." "Truth," I relayed Wolfe's dissection. "Thorne found the subchamber first, via the fingerbone map. Sliced it off skeleton 9. Inscribed path to your stash. He demanded half, or exposure." Harlan sneered. "He was a thief. Like you." I held the bone high. "Tool marks match your saw. And the cable, sent after death, your sign-off. To lure Wolfe, cover tracks with curse talk." Gasps rippled. "Lydia, you killed him!" Harlan lunged for the radio. I blocked, tripping him into the dust. "Easy, Professor." But Wolfe's logic via my wire notes. The note in Thorne's fist. "Meet midnight, treasure. Your journal paper torn. Loopy handwriting, forged with Lydia's fixer to mimic feminine." Lydia paled. "Not me." Feminine prints? Evelyn's size, but crossed with Omar's prayer path. Innocent overlap, nodded grudgingly. Clue cascade. "Blood drop here. Oneg, Evelyn's type." She smiled thinly. "Archie, planted. From a vial. Your faint in the storm. Self-sedated, staged. To deflect. Kane, she knew? No." I turned. "The backstab. Trust." Thorne turned away, examining the bone. "Killer close, familiar." Harlan scrambled up. "Speculation." "Proof. Disturbed body. Dagger stolen in storm. To remove your cuff fiber snagged in the hilt. Found it. Monogrammed EH. His cuff. Torn, hidden, and the amulet dropped. From your pocket. Scorpion your family crest per records." Harlan's face crumpled. "Thorne? He seduced Clara. Years ago. Then blackmailed with letters. When he found the smuggling, My legacy fund. He demanded all. I lured him here. Midnight. He turned to the urn. I struck. Confession. Lanterns wavered. Shadows danced wild. Lydia. Monster. Omar drew blade. I disarmed. Cain. My money. Evelyn wept. Reggie. But twist. One gap, I said. Wolfe's final note. The second dagger on Evelyn's pillow. Not yours. Harlan blinked. Not? No. Lydia's, to frame you further. She forged notes, planted map in Cain's tent. Lydia bolted toward the fissure. I tackled her. Red, you helped smuggle, but murder? No, just cover. She sobbed. Harlan forced me. Harlan laughed maniacally. All pawns. The crypt's secret spilled. No grand curse, human rot. Smuggling to fund Harlan's research, Thorns greed the spark, backstabbed the flame, radioed up, police waiting topside, tipped by Wolfe's Ammon contact. Ropes hauled us out as dawn pinked the cliffs. Harlan cuffed, raving. The 12 judge, pfui, justice did. But in the shaft, one last clue. Fissure led to a sealed urn. Real treasure, untouched. Donated per Wolfe. Evelyn hugged me. You saved us. Me, the boss from his chair. Shadows fled with the night. Light revealed all. Chapter 10. Justice in the rose-red city dawn broke over Petra like a curtain call after a long-running show. Spectacular, inevitable, and just in time to spotlight the finale. The rose-red cliffs glowed warm, chasing the night's chill shadows back into the 6 twists. We climbed the rope ladder from the sub-chamber one by one. Harlan first, wrists bound with my belt, his spectacles askew, and his face a mask of defeated bluster. Lydia next, sobbing quietly, her red hair matted with crypt dust. Omar, solemn, murmuring prayers of vindication. Cain muttering about lawyers and lost investments. Evelyn last, her hand in mine. Eyes wide with the relief of a dame who'd stared down a loaded 38 and lived. My flashlight dimmed as natural light flooded the main tomb, the 12 skeletons seeming to relax in their circle, as if the guardians could finally rest. Topsides, the Jordanian police waited. 6 uniforms in crisp khakis, rifles slung, led by a captain with a moustache that could have swept the sands. I'd radioed Wolfe at the confession's peak. He'd patched through to Ammon authorities faster than a bookie lays odds. Mr. Goodwin, the captain said in accented English, tipping his cap. Nero Wolfe's reputation precedes. The killer. I shoved Harlan. Forward. Dr. Elias Harlan. Murder 1, smuggling antiquities, the works. Evidence below, ledger, crates, the works. Harlan twisted, ranting as cuffs clicked on. Fools! The curse will claim you all! Thorn desecrated. Pfui! I cut in, channeling the boss. Your curse was a kunjar in the back dock. Stolen from Omar, engraved with your family scorpion to fake guardians. You lured Thorn midnight with a torn journal note, forged Loopy to mimic a dame's hand, using Lydia's chemicals. He deflated, sagging between officers. Thorn, he ruined everything. Clara's letters, he waved them like a flag. Then the smuggling, my funding for true research. He demanded the lion's share or exposure. In the tomb, he turned to the urn, gloating over the bone map. I struck. The captain nodded, signaling. Confession noted. The rest. I relayed Wolfe's full unraveling, voice booming off the facade for dramatic echo. Smuggling ring, Harlan mastermind, selling reals black market, swapping fakes. Cain financed, bought pieces for his collection. Lydia authenticated with doctored photos, forged notes to scatter blame. Omar supplied daggers innocently, his was stolen for the kill. Evelyn, clean, her faint's real shock. Blood drop planted from a vial to deflect. Feminine footprints. Hers crossing the scene, fetching water. Evelyn squeezed my arm. Archie, you believed in me. Had to, doll. Wolfe's logic don't lie. Lydia wiped tears. Harlan blackmailed me. Reggie's death. I planted the second dagger to frame him back. Omar bowed. Justice of Allah and the American genius. Kane grumbled as searched. My lawyers'll sue for false arrest. Save it for the judge, fat cat. Your fake map? Lydia's work, but your greed inked it. Police swarmed the crypt, hauling crates. The finger bone, key to it all, bagged as evidence. Its glyphs a mini treasure map to the stash. No mythic gold, just artifacts worth a king's ransom, now headed to Jordan's museums. Wolfe's final radio crackled as we surfaced fully. Satisfactory, Archie. Return. Beer waits. Details in report. I grinned, picturing him in the brownstone, feet up, orchids blooming approval. Me, legwork done, but the reveal, pure armchair magic. The captain shook my hand. Mr. Wolfe solves from afar. Remarkable. Tell him that. He'll glow like a firefly. Harlan loaded into a jeep, still muttering curses. The 12! They'll rise. Let 'em. Skeletons make lousy witnesses. Camp dismantled swift. Tents down. Camels loaded. Evelyn boarded with me for the bumpy ride to Ammon. Archie, Reggie would have admired this. Blood avenged by brains. Intellect over iron, I said, Wolfe's motto. At the airport, wires flew. Harlan extradition pending. But local courts claimed him. Smuggling, cultural theft, murder on sacred soil. Lydia and Kane fined heavy, deported. Omar hailed a hero, guiding future digs. Artifacts, catalogued, the untouched urn from the fissure, a bonus. Nabatean hymns inscribed, priceless. Flight home, Pan Am luxury, Evelyn asleep on my shoulder. I typed notes mid-air, flask of rye smoothing the turbulence, Petra faded below, rose-red secret keeper, bloodstain washed by sand and time. Back in the brownstone, September's muggy grip loosened into October crisp. I burst in, suitcase thudding. Fritz beamed with coq au vin scents. Theodore nodded from the hall. Wolfe descended at 6 sharp, yellow shirt fresh, eyes keen. Archie, report! I spilled it all. Clues, herrings, confession. He listened, beer foaming, lips pursing only twice. Satisfactory, he rumbled finally, raising his glass. To genius, immobile, but inexorable, I clinked coffee, and to legmen who dodged daggers in deserts. Evelyn's thank you cable arrived days later. Engaged again? No, but grateful. Petra's peace restored. Another case closed. Blood spilled, justice poured. Neat as Fritz's sauce.